one concern should be the health and the safety of the public. I did not hear you mention that once on any of these studies, and I point the finger at Commissioner Fritz, and I'd like you to review some of these studies, and I'd like you to get back to the committees and go over this. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Charles Bridge Crane Johnson, and it was great to see the city working hard on this program. I would like to encourage the people that came and spoke to keep engaging with the city and pushing, as Commissioner Hardesty mentioned, this possibility that up to 80% of cannabis tax revenue is funding things in the police department at a time when the city of Portland is closing community centers is problematic. Hopefully we'll have some exact facts come out about where the whole
they won't hate me for reducing the tax
comes out. The thing that I think would also be helpful for these entrepreneurs is, to the extent that the city is allowed, is more public information that's out there. It's not really, in my opinion, the best government practices when we sit up here and quietly say, an anonymous, unnamed place has decided that there's so many barriers and challenges that they should half the size of their pool down to 10 so that those people can be adequately served instead of going crazy trying to serve 20 people. That business needs to be named and supported. The reason it's important to name and support business, like the only one that I think it was a specific business I mentioned was Green Hip Hop off of, or I can't get the name right, but they know who they are. They're off Killings. Thanks very much. Off Killingsworth, but that leaves me not knowing, having to dig deeper to find where is the black women-owned dispensary that I can go to, because I don't want my money going. I mean, people need jobs at Sarah Dispensary, but some cannabis dispensaries are multi-state major corporations. And we need to talk about that, and we need to, as a city, live our values and support local cannabis, even if the local cannabis dealer has to buy from a big multi-state farm, is not positioned to deal with, the city is intimately familiar with the cannabis business since we fired Nathan Howard out of the mayor's office. But let's get the real data out there so we can patronize these businesses. Thank you.
Hi, Maggie, Portland Homeless Town Hall. I agree on stop giving the revenue to the police, and I also agree on the health-related grants that Lightning talked about. Also, supporting small local cannabis business owners is a great idea. Also, I want to talk about the intersection of housing discrimination and cannabis use. Now, in 2019, the JOA, that's the Government Accountability Office, court decision said that high contractors were not increasing their social equity in housing as they were mandated to do in 2013. A while back, the JOHS is the local HUD,
I know, it's ridiculous.
And they need
The
to be
speakers
more
got 3
proactive
minutes.
about getting people into housing who use cannabis for health-related reasons who are disabled, because it's not just minorities, it's poor people who are disabled. And I was able to help one woman, a white woman who uses a walker and a wheelchair and had been using cannabis for 8 years and had never had any trouble with the law. And she was in a shelter because she used cannabis to manage her condition. And so I helped one person get housing, and the JOHS helped one person. And we need to have the JOHS go to the contractors and say, you cannot discriminate against people who are disabled who are using cannabis as their medicine, because as we know, Nancy Pelosi, the pharmaceutical companies, they want to keep medicine expensive. It's out of reach to people who are poor. And a way to help people who are poor afford their cannabis is charge people more for recreational use and help people discount it or give it free to people who are low income, and stop discriminating against them in housing.
She came pretty good in her
Well, first I want to thank all of our presenters today and staff, of course, for their work on this program and for service to our community. Our work on cannabis policy and civic life demonstrates the way to create a just future for all requires recognizing and repairing past harms. The grant program is an important component of this restorative justice work. I will continue to advocate for a larger share of the cannabis tax dollars, as I have been doing for the last 3 budget cycles. I agree that too much of it is going to the police bureau, and I've gone on record more than once expressing my extreme frustration that money is going to traffic enforcement and hasn't bought us 1 minute more of enforcement on the roads, which is really the only area that I could remotely justify in investing these dollars in.
Marijuana
But
is
unfortunately,
prohibited
these
in
dollars
nothing.
have supplanted money
They don't
in
need
their budget
Uh-oh.
and have not increased their budget and have therefore not increased enforcement, and I find that unacceptable. I also have repeatedly called on the state to take action on expungement. I don't think it's reasonable that the city and local nonprofit.
The states who should be
individuals
paying for
bear this
traffic
burden,
division,
to
they're the ones that get
correct
the money.
laws that we've now decided
They get 17%.
to overturn.
We get 3%.
And
We don't even get that.
I appreciate Bill 420, but I'd like to see more action at the state level. I want to ensure that Portland continues to make meaningful investments in the communities that have been disproportionately harmed by our racist drug laws. I want to thank the Civic Life team for all of their efforts to strengthen this program. It's encouraging to see an increased number of applicants, and I expect that this will only continue to grow over time. I also want to thank the many Portlanders who continue to dedicate their volunteer time to provide invaluable input through community listening sessions and serving on our grant review committees. I want to give a special thank you to Jeanette, who has been a tireless advocate for the equitable cannabis policies, and to my appointee on the committee, Rachel Hillier, for her ongoing work to advance justice for all. Finally, I want to thank my staff, my colleagues and their staff, for their ongoing support of this work. I'm pleased to vote aye.
Commissioner, you daily hit all the bases, so I'll simply add, thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership on this matter as well. Aye.
Thank you. I also want to add my appreciation of really the hard work of Civic Life and actually really fleshing out this program. Brandon and his team have just been remarkably visionary. I think we can do better. I think with the work plan, with the work session, with us making sure that we're really investing in the right things and making sure that we are supporting the whole person to get their records clean and opportunities. Quite frankly, I don't want us limited to just construction. There are a lot of living wage employment opportunities that we should be helping people have a path towards. Great work so far. We've got a lot more work to do, but it seems like we've got a lot more, we have a lot of intentionality about who should benefit and how we make sure to hold people accountable for that benefit. I vote aye.
Thank you for a very, very interesting presentation. When I led the campaign to pass the tax in 2016, the City Budget Office said, just put it in the general fund, don't earmark it, don't do anything special, it'll pass. And that's what most of the jurisdictions around us that passed this local option tax did. We, working with the Office of Neighbourhood Involvement at that time, decided that we wanted to be specific that this tax should benefit people who've been disproportionately impacted, and public safety and transportation safety. And I actually question the statistic of 80% going to the police, because I know that half of the annual allocation goes to Vision Zero for physical safety improvements. But anyway, I'm really glad.
80% didn't sound right.
No. So I'm glad that we're going to have the work session in the spring to discuss this. Thank you, Brandon Goldner, for all of your work on this program for 4 years. It was really interesting setting things up with you and your predecessor Victor Salinas. And it's a new thing. It's great when government can do something from the beginning and be really intentional about it. Kimi Urioka, you seem like you are really ready to continue great work on this program, so thank you for that. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you to Jessica Rojas, who's my representative on the committee, to Claire Adamsick, my staff who helped set it up 5 years ago when we were thinking about how to do this. It's been challenging, interesting at times, very frustrating, and at times really hilarious. So thank you very much, and I'm really pleased that what we were hoping to have happen, as we heard from all of the people who testified today about the good that's happened in the first year of funding, that was why we passed this tax. Thank you. Aye. Caller, I'd like to go to the item before from consent. I believe we have somebody from Risk here to talk about that. So would you please call 982, please?
A bodily injury lawsuit of Patricia Barger in the sum of $10,000 involving